Issue that we've covered is mold in the rooms of soldier barracks at Fort Stewart. Over the past 90 days, a Department of Public Works team on base says that they've remediated or inspected about 1,100 cases of mold. In a WTOC update, the base says that it's taking steps to get to the bottom of the problem, including educating the soldiers and Army civilians about mold remediation. Our Mariah Congito has the story.
Mold remediation training isn't necessarily new to Fort Stewart, but this class of 35 are learning about it at a time when mold has run rampant here over the summer.
Going in and seeing the mold situation within a lot of these rooms was a big eye-opening for me, along with everybody else on the mold team.
We've gone through it, but to sustain where we're at now and to get a better handle of the mold issues we have here at Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield is very important.
This year, many Fort Stewart soldiers came back from deployment to moldy rooms. Officials say about 50% of the soldiers here live in barracks. WTOC took a tour of the rooms on October 21st. At that point, there were still more than 150 rooms with open work orders related to mold.
As of this morning, there were 71.
Bill McGovern is the director of Public Works at Fort Stewart. He says this mold remediation training by the Environmental Institute is overwhelmingly important.
The level of responsibility is going to be imposed on them once they leave this course. They need to be able to have that authority to sit there and make the decisions autonomously out in the field and recognize how to do the research.
They're learning everything from what mold is to identifying it to preventing it.
How to build containments, how to, what proper PPE to be wearing during different types of level mold cleanups, and what proper products to use.
Staff Sergeant Anthony Perez says it's his duty to make sure his soldiers are always safe when they're away from home.
This class for us leaders is going to be beneficial, where we can go ahead and give them the information as well that we learn, where they can assist themselves, or if not, we go ahead and take care of the situation alongside of them.
Once they're done taking the course,
they'll be going out and doing most of the investigating. The soldiers report issues. They'll go in there and they'll remediate the level 1s and the small level 2s. The main mold team that we have for DPW will be focused more on the heavier level 2s and all the level 3s.
We're here to go ahead and assist.
This course is 3 days long, and once it wraps up, they'll take a 100-question test. If they pass, they'll be certified mold inspectors and remediators. At Fort Stewart, Mariah Congito, WTOC News.
A military family is frustrated with the mold situation at their Fort Bragg home and turned to CBS 17 to get some help for it.
Our consumer investigator Steve Sprasia is getting to the bottom of those concerns in Fayetteville tonight.
The mold problems date back to February, but didn't really start to take off until earlier this month.
Okay, so all this black stuff here is mold from extensive water damage.
Taylor Paget says the mold here is an extension of the mold problems which burst forth earlier this month in her kids' playroom. She says by the time workmen got around to looking at it, it had gotten worse.
It had spread up the wall. They said they were going to put it in for contracted work because they couldn't find where the leak was coming from.
She says the crew began pulling out wallboard and found more mold.
Anytime it rained, the water started to pour through the wall onto the floor.
A report by an independent third-party house inspector she hired found leaking windows were part of the problem. She says mold was first spotted near the HVAC system in February, and it's been spreading.
You seen other mold in the house outside of the area that was originally contaminated?
Yes.
Where?
Underneath my kitchen sink there is mold. In our bedroom windows there is mold. Around the HVAC unit there is mold. So ultimately it's just everywhere.
With mold all over the house, the family was forced into a hotel on base, but she says a new home can't be provided until September 8th.
They want me to go back into my current home on Friday if it's deemed safe, but they tell me that I'm not allowed in my home now to gather any more of my belongings like clothes for my children because it's not safe. So I don't see how in 2 days or 3 days it's going to be safe.
She wants the property management company to pay for mold remediation on all the possessions that her family has stored in the house. She also wants to be moved to a house off post, but the management company says that's not possible. I've touched bases with the management company to find out what they have to say about all of this. Working for you, I'm consumer investigator Steve Sprasia.
All right, Steve, good stuff.
Mold on MacDill Air Force Base 2 weeks after 10 investigates exposed issues with construction quality, and the private management company responsible for military housing Families tell us the problems persist.
Tonight, the commander of MacDill wants to send a clear message to families. Colonel Stephen Snelson sat down with 10 Investigates' Courtney Robinson and says when issues happen to one service member, they impact all.
And it doesn't matter whether the family lives on base or off base. It's a leader's job to make sure that that family and that service member is safe and secure.
How is this happening with all of these procedures that you have put in place, with all of the procedures that Harbor Bay management has put in place?
What I've really been focused on is making sure that the privatized housing company, that when an issue comes up, that they're fixing it. And if they're not fixing it, that that resident knows who to turn to get help and how do they get that problem fixed if it's not getting addressed. It is the role of Harbor Bay to maintain homes, and when work orders are submitted, to do those work orders correctly the first time.
To be clear, has this impacted force readiness?
I have not seen that at our base, or at least within our wing. I haven't seen that personally, but I can't speak on behalf of the broader Air Force or the department.
Or other branches who are here at MacDill?
Sure.
You live on base?
I do.
Have you had problems with base housing?
We have thankfully not had any health and safety concerns with my family. But like you said, whenever a family comes forward and they have an issue, it's not a nameless, faceless person. It's a neighbor. My kids play at their houses. They have sleepovers. So this isn't just business. This is personal for me. And so I don't care which commander is here in the seat, whoever carries the mantle after me, this is something that we have to make sure we get right.
Are you truly satisfied?
I won't be satisfied until every family feels comfortable, confident, and that their concerns are addressed.
Colonel Snelson says because of issues, he's withheld quarterly bonuses for the housing company. In the days after our investigation aired, the Air Force Inspection Agency was on MacDill conducting follow-up home inspections and also talking with families. Next week, the Secretary of the Air Force and other branches will testify before Senate lawmakers on the status of military housing nationwide. 10 Investigates and Courtney Robbins have done a phenomenal job on this report. If you would like to watch the report on mold in military housing, you can watch that on our 10 News app under 10 Investigates.
News from around the region and from around the state. This is a Florida Focus News.
Hello and welcome to Florida Focus. I'm Rachel Boyd. Mold at MacDill Air Force Base is so bad the U.S. Senate had to hold a hearing about it today. An attorney representing military families filed a lawsuit over negligence. The suit claims mold is making families sick. Families have been complaining for a year. Right now, a bill is making its way through Congress to give base commanders more power over private companies that oversee military housing.